welcome to Toffee TV, joined by Mike and John in the studio. Just thought we'd have a little chat about the shape of a squad. Everton have just done their retained and released list. We've been waiting with bated breath to see what this contains. No, not really. Well, listen, it's quiet. It's a slow news week.
What's the watershed for shorts, by the way?
We do it 8 o'clock in the morning in this weather. You just have to suffer it. Just put, if you don't really want to look at our legs, put like something over the screen.
Why wouldn't you want to look at them?
I don't.
Beautiful ease.
This is John bringing it, not me. Everton have obviously done the retained release list and all of that. A couple of things have popped out for people. I've seen about messages.
Have you got stuff already, have you?
Already. Why? And people's heads falling off. Obviously, Tom Davies being offered a new deal.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know whether it's a massive shock. I think if everyone would have heard that in March, there wouldn't have been any kind of thing. I think as time's gone on. Andy Lonergan has got people scratching their head as well. But the season's finished, and now we start to look at how we can, we're safe, so that's good. How we can start to shape this squad, looking ahead of the new season. Obviously, it doesn't seem like we're going to have a massive budget unless we sell someone. And anything could happen, couldn't it? Mm-hmm. So we have to look at how we can start to shape the squad. We're going to have a chat about how that looks for us today. But just firstly, what are your thoughts on Tom Davies and Andy Lonergan being offered new deals?
I think the potential shocks probably just come by the fact that because they hadn't previously been offered one, I think we were just expecting them to go. If you look at it sensibly, potentially, or they offered doesn't necessarily mean they're getting the same wages, the same terms.
Even if they'll take it.
And even if they'll take it, and potentially, Tom Davies probably won't, I would suspect. But, I think we spoke on one of the shows earlier, if Tom Davies has been offered a 12-month contract on half the money with an option of another year, or something along those lines, then he's a useful squad player to have in and around. It saves spending money on someone else, saves taking a gamble on someone else, and it might be why we identify another target that we can bring in, in 12 months' time or so on and so forth. We don't know the bigger picture from that side of it. I think the shock is that just initial of, we just presumed he was gone. And like I say, realistically, he probably will be still. The Lonergan one, anyone who's bothered by that, Jesus, you need to get out more, because fundamentally, your third choice goalkeeper is a coach. For a lot of clubs, by the way, not all, but for a lot of clubs, your third choice goalkeeper is a coach, and that'll be someone who can. He could be doing training with Pickford, and he can identify things that Pickford could be doing better and stuff. It's not necessarily that he's, got to be ready to be thrown into a game. Games that Begovic played last season by necessity. One, was it?
One Premier League game.
So our third choice goalkeeper's highly unlikely to be needed. So from that perspective, from the goalkeeper, the continuity for him. For Pickford, I would say Pickford's probably got a big say in that as well.
Obviously, Begovic is gone, so is it?
Yeah,
because he wants to play.
No, but what I'm saying, we talk about Begovic, I just mean, like Mike saying there with Pickford, when you want things to stay the same, if you want to keep your form, keep consistency, and then all of a sudden 2 of your training partners are gone.
Yeah.
And that dynamic could change again. So maybe Pickford but
the third choice goalkeeper gets offered the contract, he accepts it, and then in the back end of July, early August, we sell Pickford.
Well, obviously, those.
No, the point I'm making is, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, those decisions are made on here and now, aren't they?
That's what I mean, right?
Yeah, so
the Tom Davies one, I think, is quite straightforward.
Well, go on. What's your opinion?
Are we going to sign a midfield player in the next 3 weeks?
Maybe not in the next 3 weeks, but
right. So today's the day they chose to do the release. I don't know whether that's dictated or whether that's just when we chose to do it.
Yeah.
So if Tom Davies isn't on the release, he has to be something else.
Yeah.
And the something else is we've offered him a deal. And I think you guys talked on the live about, well, I said it was PR, right? Yeah. You've got to say something. Imagine if they'd done the release list and the players offered extended contracts, often academy ones, and there was no sign of Tom Davies at all. People would be
because he's not on the retained list, is he?
That's what I mean, yeah. Well, have they done a retained list?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, you can say all the players the ones who get letting go, then what's left of the retained, but you know what I mean, of course, right? Yeah. But it allows him to say, well, I've got a bid in the hand. So if he's talking to Celtic or whoever it might be, I've got a 3-year deal here from a 1-year deal, whatever it is, 25 grand a week, you've got to match that and I'll come to you, or you've got to beat that and I'll come to you, or whatever. So that's that. But the also is the bit about, I mean, you said it quite well, I think, you know, if he's one of your squad players and you do need numbers, then it's ultimately going to be more cost effective keeping a guy you've already got, particularly if you can offer him less money than he was earning previously. No integration issues, no settling in, none of that rubbish, no moving houses, blah, 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 blah. But also, as you said on the live, if once you get into the transfer window, you find players you really want, and then you can coordinate that with him going, that sort of thing happens. And I don't know when this, you know, you developed him bit runs out, but presumably do we get some money anyway? Or
not now, because he's 25.
It's 25 is the world
24 is the cut-off.
Okay, well, there you go. So you run the risk, in quotes, that he'll say yes if you don't really want him, but clearly the manager must think he's a good guy to have around the squad.
I think as well, I mean, obviously there is that. He knows Everton. He's been here since he was 11. I think he's been at the football club for, so he's part of the fabric almost. I know a lot of people don't think he's good enough.
He isn't.
He is just a squad. He's not. He's not one of your first names in the team list, is he? You know, has he got the attributes for the Premier League? Well, you know, you can argue that all day, but a lot of different managers have played him. You know, Carlo Ancelotti, Rafa Benitez, both won European Cups and both played and picked them when there was others available and different things. So he's obviously not as bad as some people lead you to believe. There's an element, I guess, of protecting the asset, if you like. If Everton offer him, well, have you then? And then someone comes in and offers a couple of million in 6 months for him at Christmas or whatever, you've got some money there. So there is that. And like you said, it's also for him as well. He's got a starting point for negotiating. Players.
It might be a 1-year contract, by the way.
Of course.
It could be anything. Right?
Listen, he might be offered, like Mike said, he might be on, I'm making it up, 40 grand a week now.
And they've offered him 20 or 25,
might say, we'll give you 25 grand
play
a week.
Elements, all that sort of stuff.
You know, and he goes, yeah, all right, I'll stay for 2 years on 25 grand a week. And Everton go, okay, we've still got a player who can cover 2 or 3 positions. He's on less. We've made a little saving with his wages. All of us, you know, 15 grand a week. If it was that, well, that all adds up. It adds up to us. Maybe
you made a point earlier on, one or both of you, on the live thing when you talked about Cody, for example. I think it was you on it, saying it's not dead necessarily.
Cody's
part of a negotiation. You know, that deal doesn't work for me. I'm walking away. And if Wolves in particular get a better deal from someone else and Cody's prepared to go there, then they get their better deal. If Cody really wants to be at Everton, and we've had the little whisper in his ear before he's gone, lad, we just need to let the clock tick over a little bit. We don't want to give these guys what they thought. We want to give them less, and and that's where players have the final say, isn't it?
Of course,
You know, and the same applies here with someone like Tom Davies, right? You've got to think about where are you going to be in your squad. And would you regret letting a guy go? Blah, blah, blah. But they might have done that deal with his agent ages ago. But Tom and his agent now know there isn't a big, long queue of clubs coming for you, Tom. Right? Do you want to go and play for Celtic on 15 grand a week? Or do you want to stay at Everton on 25? And I think you would, and I certainly would say from a sporting perspective, go to Celtic. Because in 2 years...
Rangers are the ones who...
Whoever, right? Scotland, right? But in a year's time or 2 years' time, having tore that place up, because you will look a lot better up there than you look down here, you're back around that loop again, where Premier League clubs, Tom Davies.
He might be all right,
And Everton was so dysfunctional while he was there before. Young player, so many managers. It was always there, and now we can see it, you know. So, let's see.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see.
A couple of players going out the door. Andros Townsend, any real surprise there? I know there was obviously... He did well for Everton last season, 7 goals and got a terrible injury. And the hope was he'd be back before the World Cup, certainly after the World Cup. And you know what? When you look at it, if he'd have been fit, he might have been a useful player to have, certainly for the second half of the season. The goals,
he'd have got minutes, wouldn't he?
The goals and all that. We know he is training again. Everton have still got a duty of care to him, so he will remain at Finch Farm doing his rehab. There's no real shock there, though, is there?
No, I would say that's the type of decision you want to see the club make.
How old is he now?
30.
He's going to be 32 at least.
1 or 32.
Because depending on where his head is, for all we know, he's decided once I've retired, really. Maybe. Money always talks, doesn't it? But
I think for him, he's still young enough. I think he's still got the fire in his belly to do that. I think he'd get picked up, no problem.
No, I think he will. I don't. It's not a surprise, and I think it's the right decision. You know, he's been out for a year.
Longer than a year, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously pace was always his major asset. You could see him slowing down even in the previous year when he was playing. So I think the second half of his first season with us, he really started to tail off. And then he's been injured for over a year. So no, right decision, move him on. Left-footed winger. You've got McNeil now in a younger model bearing to move on with now. So
if you had an objective approach as a director of football with the manager determining which type of players you need in the squad, the fact that you might be restricted in the transfer market, it could very well distill down to Townsend or Davis, keep, let go. Which one would you let go?
Yeah,
the older one?
Yeah.
Who's been out injured for 18 months or whatever it is, 12 months or something. So it could be just something as simple as that. If we're letting him go, we have to keep this guy, or try at least look like we're trying to keep him.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, of course, with Andros Townsend, and we wish him well, hopefully he'll still have, he'll come back and do well for however long he plays, is that his wages, whatever they were, and I'm not saying they were huge wages,
higher.
But his wages are bigger than Tom Davies anyway. But also the savings on his wages can go to a new player, can't
Absolutely.
You've got a player going, well, we could keep Townsend because he's in the building.
Yeah.
And if we get him back again, we wage him, or you go,
what could we do with a couple of £1 million a year?
See that? Yeah. That fella's free over there, and he's 25.
That's it. It's making them objective decisions, isn't it? And I think, those type of decisions, we cling on to players us a little bit too long. Let's, we need to move on. And that's not a surprise.
One player who's gone, and it seems to be he's gone through his own decision is Begovic. Begovic, who's been a good solid number 2 for Everton for the last couple of years. Was offered a contract that's come out. He let it be known he was leaving, didn't he, last week or whatever? And people thought, Everton have just let him go and must be getting someone else. But I think he's wanted to move on to play football, and
that's probably out of all of them. That's the biggest surprise to me. I thought he just appeared to be happy being a number 2, because if you get to a certain
You're a long
age,
time retired though, aren't you? And he might think,
absolutely.
I've got one more go at it.
Good on him. But when he came, he must have known he was going to be number 2. But obviously, he's probably had confidence that he could oust Pickford, which is a good attitude to have. So but that did surprise me. I thought the goalkeeper set would just stay the same. So, but what is interesting is, like you say, the fact that we have offered him one, because again, you said on the live, Dice has always sort of earmarked having a younger number 2 coming in. So obviously he was content to not have that situation. So whether he changes his tack now and goes for a younger number 2. Yeah. Because it's freed up that opportunity, or whether he looks for an experienced number 2.
But it's like it's that thing, isn't it? If you've mentioned it, I think John might have said it as well before, is that you've got that set, and Dykes might have thought, well, this summer we need stability as much as we can to go for it, and maybe Begovic would have been part of it. Obviously, Jalving is back at the club and he's making noises about wanting to kick on now at Everton, and he started the season quite well at SC Canberra, but then lost his place after Christmas and seemed to just fall away and ended up being injured at the end, and has been back at Finch Farm getting some rehab. So he obviously played under Carlo a couple of games out of necessity when we had injuries. Robin Olsen was injured, Pickford was injured, and done all right. Done okay. I'm not saying, by any stretch, I'm not saying he's good enough to push Jordan Pickford. I'm just saying he is a young goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And you would imagine that it's now or never if he's to stay at Everton. He's got to show something. Sean Dyche might have a look at him and go, not for me.
Yeah.
Or he might go, you know what, he'll do what we've got. Billy Crellin there as well, of course, and Harry Tyler, who's spent the season on loan at Chester. So there are a few keepers in the building, but it will be interesting to see whether Dyche has got someone else here, Mark. I always thought it'd be Tom Heaton, to be honest.
Yeah.
As I thought he'd come in from United, isn't he? But
he was.
He was at United.
Yeah, I think he might have been released in this season.
So I wondered if he'd come in, but it might not be. They might just go with
There's also an indirect message there to any third parties that look at our goalkeeping situation, and if you want to try to extract Jordan Pickford, it's going to cost you a really big number, because it would give us a problem, particularly if someone turned up quite late, wouldn't it? So,
yeah, of course. Yeah. Isaac Price.
So De Gea can consider his wage demands now, can't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Isaac Price has moved on, which we knew. There's no real surprise in that one. We've known that for a while. That's got a lot of people concerned. Not today, but over the last 6-8 weeks when it became apparent he wasn't going to sign a new deal. In terms of how we're developing as a football club and what the plan is.
Yeah.
This has got to stop, hasn't it? Hasn't this got to... And what I mean by that is, listen, I don't know whether Isaac Price is good enough to get in Everton's midfield and play every week in the Premier League or not. He's 19 years of age. He looks like a talented kid. We'll see where his career goes now, but I'm talking about that pathway into the team, because it's no use having these players who look like they might make it, and yet we're never prepared to give them anything. We saw Thierry Small go out the door, and okay, his career hasn't gone the way he's hoped at the moment. You know, he's in Scotland at the minute on loan. He'll go back to Southampton. Might get a go in the Championship, who knows. But
it's the perceived perception as well.
Exactly, and we have to think with the way we are financially as well. We've got to get back to being able to convince these young kids that coming to Everton, if you're good enough, you're going to get an opportunity in our team. Again, are you a bit worried about that, or not?
Worried as in
the message, not Isaac Price is in, we've lost the midfielder.
So, two parts. This is the obvious answer. The second part is obviously the changes.
If you say no, then you've just covered your bases. Yes and no, and that's it. Stop it, mate. That will be akin to, if you finish outside the bottom three, I don't think we'll go down.
Was I right?
You were right. You were absolutely right.
I was right. So no, but is the whole club structure.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too in because we've done it loads of times. The whole club structure needs ripping up, changing, whatnot. So you would like to think, and we've all got the hope, that that's what's in the process of happening this summer, where a little bit of a plan going on in terms of what the director of football is going to do, how they're going to put in, their perceived plans and routes into the first team, and everything that goes along with that. So if the hierarchy is going to change and whatnot, then I'm not necessarily worried, because they've identified the problem and they'll start actioning it. If nothing's changing in that direction, it is a major problem, because fundamentally you're just letting assets walk out the door for next to nothing or free. I think we get a development fee for them, so we might end up with about 400 grand. Yeah. So those type of ones where you want them realistically to at least go out on loan to a Championship player, where he becomes a £3-4 million player and 10 times the value. So I'm not necessarily concerned right now, but let's see how this develops over the next 12 months.
John, just on Isaac Price, just the situation, not necessarily the player, but this was a kid that Frank Lampard gave his full debut to at Arsenal last game of the season when we were safe. Trained with the first team at times, trained all season with the first team. Played in pre-season, Minnesota when we were there, didn't he? We played the Blackpool and Kiev, he was involved and things like that. And it looked as though he was going to get an opportunity to be part of that squad, given especially as well, we didn't have tons of money. Then we went and got Onana and James Garner, who were two centre midfield players, so we might have been a bit worried there. He might have gone, what's happening here? But just on that, from two perspectives, do you think Everton should have made a decision on him early last pre-season and gone, we want you to sign a new deal because we think you're good enough to play in our first team, but also what we're doing is we're sending you out on loan because we think you're going to develop away from our football. I don't know for a fact whether this happened or didn't happen, by the way. I'm just looking at it as a fan, my perception of it, because it almost seemed like he was kept on a bit of a leash. I know that this happened with Stanley Mills. Things were promised and it hasn't happened, and and he may become a problem in the future if he isn't given the opportunity. But just wondering your perspective, do you think that should have happened really?
Opportunity is an interesting word, isn't it? Because for 2 seasons now, the objective of this football club has been to stay in this division, not to develop players.
Okay, so therefore, should he not have gone on loan?
Exactly right?
Yeah.
So when do you think, it's rhetorical because you may not, but for the fun of debate, please come up with something.
Yeah.
When do you think we offered him a new contract, which he's declined and has now decided to go to another club?
I think probably around, I don't know this, but maybe around September, October last.
Right.
So he's had a lot of time to mull over it.
Yeah, exactly right. So for me, which is the answer to your question, Why? It's rhetorical again. You don't need to answer this one. Okay. Why did we start him in the last game of the season? Because we could, because it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But what should have been attached to that would be, if the coaching staff or the academy people think this is a guy we need to keep, then I sit down with him and his agents and I say, mate, you are the future.
Yeah.
Okay. We want to offer you new terms.
Just give you the debut.
Yeah. They're going to be structured, these terms, so that as you progress you'll get more and more money, all the standard stuff, right? And by the way, you're going to make your first team debut in the Premier League at the next game, so bang. And actually Frank giving him his debut was because we've already had the contractual conversations, and it's like a sweetener, like evidence, and all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to sit down with you in the summer and decide what's the best way. We think we want to place you at a top 10 championship club where you can play every game, run the goddamn show, and then come back here the year after. And if you tell the story correctly, if the guy's been with Everton, which he has, for quite a while, and this is all part of his natural progression, blah, blah, blah. I'd remind him things like the average age of a debut in the Premier League is 21. You're only bloody 18 or 19, so you're way ahead. Right, we are going to buy players in the same position as you, but you will learn from them. And then if you do the Onana one after the guy signed on the dotted line, which you probably wouldn't have done, you'd have already done it by then. But you explained, this is a guy we're buying to sell, mate. You're a guy we're paying to stick around, so that when he's gone, you step in, right? And all the good selling of basically relationship management, account management type behaviour. I have no idea who does that. Really no idea.
And Everton might have done it, might they?
But you would like to think so, right? But the argument would be, and this is my punchline for this waffle, is if we really wanted him to stay, he'd be staying. Because, sorry, that's not just the words. That is, we clearly didn't do enough of a job to convince him. And I would say, if we really wanted him, we should have convinced him. And there's only two reasons why. One is there's a subconscious, we'd like to, but, And the other one is we're just not doing it well enough. Now, the example, Tom Davies is a real graphic example. We don't really want him to stay as a club because he would have signed a new contract, not be offered one. And you're right on the desk over there to say, well, I think it was you, Baz, but it doesn't really matter. If he's on 25 grand a week and you offer him 15, that's like asking a painter and decorator to do your house and they quote you 5 grand. They don't want to say no, but they'll price themselves out. And so at 10 or 15 grand a week, Tom Davies is an absolute steal, right? At 30, 40, no, he's not, right? If they had that sort of thing with Mr. Price of his expectation or his agent's like Small, their expectations were way above our valuation, of course he goes. And anyone who's at that age, like Small was, demanding first team guarantees and stuff, you can't do that.
I think as well what you've got to look at is we're invested obviously in here about the ones that happen at Everton. This happens everywhere, by the way.
It does. No,
so, of course it does. Because, and the reason it happens more and more is because these players do have agents, and those agents earn money off moves. A lot more than they do off contractual renewals. And realistically, if you start seeing, and they've got sort of more and more evidence of it, like a Jude Bellingham and Jadon Sancho going abroad.
They're really graphic examples of players who will let go by top-notch Premier League
or not let go, that was the thing. So
let
obviously,
go as in the escape.
So like Jadon Sancho, Man City
example.
wanted to keep him, didn't he? Offered them a contract, didn't want to stay, wanted to play, sold that pathway, and that pathway has obviously proved to be better for him, certainly financially. Might not have been career-wise, you'd never know. So those players, I mean, if you're Isaac Price, for instance, and you're sat there out of contract, Everton have put these provisions in place where you go out on loan and so on and so forth. Realistically, all the cards are sat with you now, and you can go, well, effectively, my loan is to now go. Is he going Genk? Is he? Where's he going?
Standard Liège.
Standard Liège. So he's going over to Belgium. That's somewhere that we potentially would have loaned him to. So he's over there now on his own terms. With his own destiny in his own hands. He's probably thinking, I'll do a year, 2 years well here. I'll be moving back to the Premier League anyway. But I'll be coming back to the Premier League with a stronger hand of cards.
Big money.
Better signing on fees, And effectively, he's putting all his own faith, which is quite refreshing in a way, in his own ability.
Oh, it is.
So those things will always happen. And I think John's point's very poignant, and that's fundamentally our biggest problem is we just haven't been in a position to have free games to put these players in, to give them opportunities, because we're fighting to the last games of the seasons for the last 2 years.
But it's how do we stop it? That's me point. We've got players.
Stopping it instantly, the first thing you need to do is, again, what we've discussed previously, is getting up the table. So that's the first thing you need to do, because we will not be able to stop it if we're constantly scrambling around. Southampton took the objective decision to go youth, and just put it, and it's cost them
eventually.
Yeah, eventually, exactly.
But last summer they did make a conscious decision.
But what I'm saying is when they didn't make that conscious decision to go youth, they retained their Premier League status.
That's right.
The second they decided to just go youth,
formalise it, if you like,
then they've dropped down, and they may come back in a stronger position. But right now, the best way of being able to stop those paths, because we've always given those opportunities, and also, let's have it right, if they're good enough, Anthony Gordon still forced his way into the team with attributes that the squad needed. So they're not completely not there, but certain positions, certainly defensively and a bit deeper on the pitch.
No, listen, both make very good points. I just look at it and think we've got obviously Samuel. I can't get it in them. Ishii Samuel Smith.
Yeah.
Who's highly rated, but he's only 16, about to be 17.
Yeah.
Left back. He's a lot of clubs are looking at him.
Yeah.
Already and try to get him away. We've got Francis Onkaronku, who we took from Sunderland. Don't forget, we give him the L. We pay. He's another highly rated one, and yet we went to Wolves with no forward on the bench really, and we had Bournemouth no forward on the bench, and he went down to Brighton. And the kids sat behind the bench. We had 2 goalie subs, but a young striker who could have learned a lot by just having the sub shirt on was sat there. So I just those kind of plays. Reece Welsh is another one. I don't want us to get into where they are. And you're right. One thing I've always said: if you're good enough, you will play. Wayne Rooney was in our first team at 16. We wanted to play him at 14. He was that good. So if you're exceptional, you'll get him. But I just hope we create that pathway, because part of where we are, and I think where we're heading, we have to. Would Evan Ferguson be in Everton's first team if he was in our 21s?
Yeah, probably.
Would he?
I would have said so.
I don't know, because I don't know whether we'd have took the chance to play the kid.
No, I think we would have with the striker situation we were in.
When we offered $1 million, we wouldn't pay the £1 million at 16. Would he have been in our first team at 18? I don't know.
I'd say with those type of players, because they're.
I don't know, because if, look at what.
No, but when you're saying if the talent, if they're strong, if they're good, higher you are up the pitch, you can gamble with younger players. As you retreat back, you ain't playing a 16 or left back.
No, centre backs and left backs. I get it. Midfield.
Even defensive midfield players, you've got to be.
But as a attacking midfield, and we still wouldn't throw him in.
I think there's a point here, right, which you drifted across in a way.
Yeah.
Because what you want from a footballing perspective, which is all under Thelwell, is a clear understanding of what you do in certain scenarios.
Yeah.
Okay. The manager didn't get the email. Right, because if he's put multiple goalkeepers on the bench, and even then he got bored with that eventually and thought, we just won't have a full complement of. How do you not have a full complement of substitutions? Right?
No. Unless you're trying to just
Why don't you
send a message.
You could put a bleeding 12-year-old on the bench because you know you're never going to play him. But as you just said, they get the pre-match build-up, they get what it's like, they go through mix zones, they mingle with the first play team, blah, blah. They're all part of the things, to me anyway, that keeps a price here. I'm close. And then you're in his ear. Work harder. Be more consistent. Moderate your expectations. There are guys in front of you, but pick them off one at a time.
I know Onkaronku was never coming on at Wolves.
Yeah,
right.
But he was
there.
I
totally agree.
He was sat behind the bench.
Yeah,
and we had 2 goalkeepers as subs.
Crazy.
Madness.
So really, what you would have gone was Andy Lonergan. I don't care if he's a senior or not. You just say,
stick behind.
You sit behind this kid. We want to get
absolutely.
this kid.
And who's this kid going to sit next to? He's going to sit next to a fellow squad player in a Premier League game.
So for me, I'd have had them
that
there.
never makes sense to me.
And warming up and all that, because it's all part of it.
Because also as well, even when you're looking to potentially sell him or move him on or loan him out, it's a tick box, isn't it?
He's been sub in the Premier League.
He's been on the bench. It's all.
I remember it when Wayne Rooney was in, and we talked about his manager, his coach, and the Everton stuff. He was saying he had 3 players on the bench at Derby, and he got the thing in the day. Told him, come bring them on.
Right.
Because they said they weren't allowed to bring. They were only kids. He said, I had them warming up and everything. He went, they were warming up, looking. He was like, we can't bring them on like them. But he had them there and he went, it was a great experience. And them kids never ever coming on.
Oh, doesn't matter. They got that experience. But you did the soundbitey stuff, you know, where you, was it yesterday where I say, sometimes you have to say no but make it sound like yes.
Yeah.
Okay? Same applies on this, isn't it? Sean Dyche, Frank Lampard, all the managers, they're not stupid people. You don't get to where they are without knowing the way the world's shaped. And if the director of football, or blessed, even the commercial director says, I could really do with Isaac Price being on the bench. You know? We're in the last throes with his agents. They're looking for evidence. We've got 9 for crying out loud. Can he be one of them?
Yeah.
And if the manager goes, no, don't interfere with me, then that tells you a bit about the manager, because it's got to be about big picture, hasn't it? And so,
you can only bring 5 on.
Of course.
So,
so there's 4.
So I get it. if you've got 9.
Especially when we
you're
don't
on
bring
9 first teamers. If we're all on the bench on £100,000 a week and you're taking one of us off because you've been told to put this kid on the bench.
That's different.
But when you've got 2 keepers, just get them. Anyway, that's a totally different story. Moving on.
I'd have a rule, sorry, by the way, where the academy, whoever the academy guy is trying to control the pathway for certain players could almost have a relationship where he knows that the manager knows that there are certain games in the season when the 9th place is going to his pick.
He picks it. Manchester United basically done this since the Premier League started. They've had a youth team player on the bench for someone who's come through for every single game.
Yeah, it's madness, isn't it?
So that should be a club
say that.
9 subs.
No, like
should be a club ethos.
Make
then
sense.
Journalists write that stuff, which is how we know. And a mum and a dad who are deciding, should my lad go to Man United or Everton, think, well, let's go to United, apart from being bigger and all that.
Yeah.
Let's go there, because they always look after their
They're on the
kids.
bench all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
that's
good one.
That was a different thing. In terms of shaping the squad, let's play it like we've got full rule over it. Not necessarily like a keep sell thing, but if you're going through, obviously talk about Jordan Pickford and
Sell.
whatever. But we're on to the defence, and obviously now Everton have got, Conor Cody's gone. Personally, I don't think that's the end of it.
No,
I think if you're him, in 3 weeks, he's got less than a year left on his deal at Wolves. And I think if you're Wolves and you're looking and going,
that window's going to go tick.
Exactly.
Top,
I'm not sure whether I'm going to play him. And then all of a sudden, it might be a case of actually just go back to Everton on loan.
Well, they've already identified they don't want him.
They don't want him, and they've got other targets that they're going after. Anyway, he's gone. Yerry Mina's gone. We know that. We're left with, we've got Michael Keane and Mason Holgate. Ben Godfrey, James Tarkowski, Jared Branthwaite coming back into the equipment. And we've also got Reece Welsh, who has been on the bench quite a lot.
There's one guaranteed starter there.
Right, and Tarkowski's the only one who you would say plays.
Yeah.
Right, I personally would make Branthwaite the partner. It'd just be them two for me. It's yours to lose the shirts, basically. So we're still left with 3 centre backs there. Now Michael Keane or Mason Holgate. I imagine both of them won't go out the door.
It's one of them two would go.
So one of them may possibly. Ben won't go. Ben Godfrey won't go because I think Sean Dyche will want to have another look at him.
And midfield
and I
pace.
Think you're right. I think you need to. I think you're where you said he's. What is he? Because he just hasn't been able to put any flag down and go, I play 35 games a season. Yeah, has he? No. This has got to be the. If he has another couple of injuries early doors, then yeah, maybe we have to go. Ben. But right now, I still think he's the one you've got the most, you can get the most out of, because he's the one with the lightning pace in the back foot. I know it towards the end of the season didn't quite show it, but I believe he will come
all
back
be fitter next season.
Yeah, I think things have gone on. I think he'll be stronger in pre-season.
5 days a week training makes a big
difference. All of that makes huge difference. Yeah, it does. So Mason Holgate, Michael Keane, for you, if you were keeping one of those, if you had to, I know a lot of people will go, get rid of both, and
it's obvious.
You can only get rid of people if people bid for these players or come in
obvious.
for them. So if you had to keep one of the two, who are you keeping?
Is this what I would or what I think?
No, you.
No, what you do, because
we're it.
Okay, so
we're in the room deciding.
I would, out the two, I would keep Mason Holgate.
Okay.
Predominantly because he can do defensive midfield role. He can play on the right.
Okay. He has gone in there.
We played them in there, and Sean Dyche has played them in there as well. Played right back, play centre back. And he even played the left back against Man City for the car crash that it was. And obviously from an age perspective, and I'm presuming from a wage perspective, he'll be a lot less than what? I imagine substantially less. What's
Signed a
Keane
good, he did sign a
If we're in the room doing
signed
this,
a decent new one.
we
didn't he?
just, because you say keep Holgate,
Yeah.
and there's only 3 of us, right?
Yeah.
As soon as I say Holgate, we're keeping him, and then we move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So is Holgate the one you
Yeah,
keep up the two?
absolutely.
You're right, Michael
Is it
Keane will be
unanimous
on
or
more
not?
money and age.
Is it unanimous?
No, I'm just asking you.
We
the
three of the
If it was
decision.
between those two, I think, yeah, definitely Holgate.
In an ideal world, would you move both of them on just because Mason Holgate's 27 this year? He's another one for me. He really should be looking to move to play.
In an ideal world,
at his age.
They're just both
And
not
Michael
good enough,
Keane,
are they?
yeah.
They're not good enough. Like simple as that. When
You wouldn't say they're our starting centre backs, would you? So
No, I
in that
wouldn't.
case, you have nobody. Even so, you wouldn't look and go, well, they. You know what? There's a chance they're our best partnership.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't, would you?
No,
So in that respect, for the team to evolve and move
There's
forward,
temperament as well.
you're trying to replace.
Preparedness to be the +1, which is whoever
see
it
with
is.
Michael Keane as well, he's on a
Fair old wedge.
so he's on a first team contract, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's on a contract as a first team player, as a starter. I mean, and he's just not a mentality, and he's been involved in a lot of everything we've done wrong, temperament wise, exactly. Obviously, mistakes. I mean, these sort of individual mistakes, and they'll always happen in football, but they're the type of players you want to really eradicate out the team, because your manager can set up a team, can put everything out, and as soon as an individual just does something stupid,
Yeah.
those tactics and everything you've planned go out the window, and he's done that time and time
Would you be
again.
looking for another centre back then?
Yeah, so in an ideal world, if you can find the buyers, Holgate would be gone for me, Michael Keane would be gone for me. It'd be very, very last chance saloon for Godfrey, but to be honest, I'd probably look to shift him on. But last
That's
chance
improved in
saloon.
the last hour because he was out.
No, well, that's what you said.
as well, yeah.
So he would, in an ideal,
Yeah.
he'd be gone as well. But last chance saloon, from that perspective, then I, if I'm being honest, I'd bring Cody back.
Yeah.
And I would have Cody, Tarkovsky, Branthwaite, and Godfrey.
Godfrey for me.
And then you've got Reece Welsh.
What would you do with
Backing it
Welsh loan?
Championship, if you could, yeah.
If you could,
Or
he just, I think he probably just.
How many
needs
centre
30.
backs do you think you need to go in to the season?
I'd have 4. I think 4 because I think you can also plug it. You know, Seamus
the odd
Coleman
game.
will be in the squad. He's been offered a new deal, which is good. You know,
Michaelenko could play left centre back. couldn't he?
Michaelenko
what I
can,
mean.
If you can,
so
Yeah.
you can
Force.
plug that. I think we certainly don't need 7 or 8, which is what
No.
we've carried this season.
Yeah.
6, 7, whatever it was. We don't need that many, so 4. Left back is obviously we've got one. We've got one.
Yeah.
We didn't even have that. Dwight McNeil had to go and play there because Miko got injured, and obviously Ruben Vinagre was here and went, and like we just talked about young Smith Samuels. He's only 16, soon to be 17. So therefore, do you go, I'm putting all my faith in you because you're only, you're young, but you're just going to be the backup. Or do you think Sean Dyche would be looking to get another one in who pushed Michaelenko? Don't know about better.
No, that's a different question then, isn't it?
I think it's imperative.
I just think with the squad, when you look, what would you do? Because we have got one left
It's
back.
imperative to me. I think you need a left back in who becomes your starter. I don't think Michaelenko's
Or
good.
certainly push it. Or it's good enough to push Michaelenko because
Definitely, yeah,
if he
minimum.
improves, great.
Yeah.
But
So
that's you've always got to be one up, haven't you?
for me, with
There is Aaron Martin,
yeah,
Caracal, Aaron, who I've mentioned before, and other people have mentioned as well, who's out of contract. He's a left.
when you were saying he's a lot of an attacking fullback,
5 goals last
and
season.
a great
for
balance
Mainz.
would be is having a left back who's very attacking, having the playoff to having Michaelenko who's a lot more defensive minded and can do a job, and also play left centre back, so he gives you that sort of options in your squad. So for me, left back's absolutely imperative.
Unai Emery might want like Mason Holgate. I mean, swap him for Luca Dean on loan. Have a little swap.
Yeah, just getting back.
Name's 30 on loan, Luca. No, I think a left back. I personally think we need a left back.
But also as well, just with the young lad as well, I don't want a 16, 17-year-old who's just sat on the bench. He's got to develop. He needs to go out and play. So, albeit, again, for
But
Everton...
he's in the 21s now, which is a big
Yeah,
thing, because he's almost missed the 18s. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
played
yeah.
for Leighton Baines, but they've almost gone too good
for
this,
that, yeah.
push him on. He obviously starts the season in the 21s. If he's still turning it up by Christmas, you should be looking to get him into a club then. Like, can we fit him in loans? Because he'll still only be 17.
I'd be looking to loan him out.
Trying to find a team who will play a 17-year-old in defence, though, is that it can be tricky, don't forget.
Yeah.
He may well learn more just
He
training.
can go up to
every day.
Scotland, though, couldn't he? Something
But
like that.
it's just having someone to go, yeah, I'll play.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Dunk at Forest Green
Yeah.
might go, halfway through the season, I have an issue at left back here. Yeah, I'll play the kid. Duncan will want to Duncan will be happy to have younger players in as well and all that. So there is that. And of course, Everton's 21's play against Forest Green, so it's an opportunity for a few of them to go like that, isn't it?
Remember me.
What's your take on Michaelenko? Would you look to want to bring in someone?
I think Michaelenko's a good, solid left back. That's it. He's a defensive. He's a solid.
Would you? So
I would want another.
Presume we've got limited funds. Would you want to allocate some of that to first team left back, a starting left back?
No,
you wouldn't.
Not. So I'll tell you why. Right, I'll tell you why. Because for me, the funds have to start in attacking areas. They have to. But would Michaelenko, to me, isn't a huge issue. Don't get me wrong. He's not. He's not what we've had.
The league is full of average left backs.
I think the problem with Michaelenko, right, and this is on him, and this is on Dyche and Wone and Steve Stone to improve. He's not very good going forward, and therefore they should hammer that home to him. Attack, throw. But if you put a decent striker in the middle and said, that's who you're with, mate, get it out your feet and just put it in that zone every single time. Yeah. He may well end up with 3 or 4
He's a decent athlete.
He's decent, that's what I'm
saying.
Point
being, if they just tell him to make the runs.
But you heard Frank Lampard saying, I'm screaming at him to run.
Well, don't pick him then.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You've got no choice.
And that's where we're going with the debate, isn't it? You're talking quite rightly about development. But if you've already got a starting left back who, quote, I'm screaming at him, but he's not doing it, then is that because he's comfortable? I'm going to keep getting played because there isn't anyone. So you've got to find somebody to put him under pressure, right? Now, I think
probably more he's worried about the other way.
Maybe, but he does his job and someone else has to do their job. Part of the challenge, therefore, is if there's a perception that the manager favours, let's say, experience over talent, sounds a horrible way to say, but you know what I mean, right? If you're good enough, you're old enough, and all that sort of stuff. But if he throws a few curveballs in, that says, you know what, I will drop a 17-year-old left back in because you're just not bloody doing it.
Yeah,
right?
Not listening.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be pushed, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do.
How old's Michaelenko? He's quite young, isn't he?
24, I think. 24, 25, yeah.
Oh, is he that old?
Oh, my God,
a little bit younger.
But he's been here 18 months, wasn't he? Was he 22 when we got him? So maybe he's 24 or just about to be. So he still can grow. Like I say, to me, he's just a solid left back.
Yeah.
As in, and when I say solid, I don't mean no one can get past him. I just mean he'll do you the job. He's left-footed. He likes it. He likes to be in a tight unit. Yeah. He's just not great going the other way.
Just 24 last May.
24.
So he's literally been 20. A week ago, he was 24.
Right. Yeah.
So just going back where you're saying the funds would go from an attacking area, and mine would as well, 100%. But to me, modern day football, the fullbacks are the attack.
You've got to fix the first problem. It's great, and you're right. Yeah. You know, we're trying to shape it and balance it. Of course, you are. But for me,
what I would say from down the left hand side, the greatest
attacking left back, and you've got
so down left hand side, I perceive McNeil's going to be there.
McNeil will be in front of you. Yeah.
So. But to get them to maximise the most out of him, you need that person doing them runs.
But he can do that. He proved Crystal Palace at home. Michaelenko, when he made that run and had the shot and the keeper saved. Yeah. He doesn't do it, and that's what I'm saying.
But
why doesn't he do it? Does he not do it because he can't do it? Well, Everton took Leicester away last year.
Someone can run forward, can't he? Of course they can.
Exactly. So therefore, you've got to flip the switch in his head to go, your job. Now, for all we know, Sean Dyche doesn't want him to cross the halfway line. Yeah. Because he wants to keep it solid. Because really, Carlo
was like saying this. Lampard was screaming at him too.
Lampard was saying, I want you to go, and he was going, oh, can I go then? Well, because don't forget, he also come out of Ukraine, where their first and foremost thing might have been for him, you don't cross the halfway line, we protect before we attack. So it's trying to flip that to him.
So if you go down at this debate that we're doing, where you're looking at every position, where could we improve upon that player, you'd be changing most of it. And there's a finite.
I'm only saying it because we've got one. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, but you know that before he's solid, he's okay. So when you're doing
what happens when he's injured?
Well, sorry, when we're doing the draft room discussions, which is what we're playing at, right? You say those are the questions. What happens if he's injured? Really falls out of form, gets suspended, because defenders quite often get suspended, right? Then you need a backup, and you say, who is that backup? Is it your 17-year-old kid who's never going to get on the pitch? So you write, because when we're doing the debate, you go, hang on a minute, he needs to develop. You can't. He's not going to sit on his arse waiting for Michaelenko to get suspended or injured, right? So you need somebody, and that therefore
that free transfer. I mean, I don't know much about him, but
They're the ones though, aren't they?
100%.
Them kind of the ones who.
Because what I'd like there in my head is if you've got a left back who is an attacking one and a steady one.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You then got the same on the right hand side with Patterson being your attacking one and Coleman being your steady one. Then it gives you that balance and options.
And the squad is unbalanced.
And it's not just about balance, it's about motivation. Because when the manager, right, is screaming at Mykolenko to get forward, Mykolenko knows there's a guy sat on the bench
who will do that.
Who will get screamed at to get back.
Yeah.
So you can be the one who can be solid defensively and get forward. You may find yourself safe versus a guy who always disappears up the field.
Well, people watching this would be screaming Niels and Kunku, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He plays for the football.
Yeah.
He's just about to leave, but he was at the football.
And that's your example.
Very attacking.
Yeah.
Can't get back. He's all over the place defensively, and that's probably why Everton are going, we'll take the money, thanks, and off you pop. But people might say that.
And it is League Two where he is.
Obviously in midfield, just very briefly, and we'll wrap this up. But midfield, we've already spoken
We all know about
but
front.
Personally, Everton have been like with Batista and Mendy, who's 23. That Angers just been relegated to £5 million. They're the type I think Everton should be getting. Everton, I know budget, we're looking at that, but I mentioned it before, down payments on players like that are £1.5 million.
Yeah.
Which is bugger all, nothing. And for me, that's a deal Everton should do because he could realistically replace Idrissa Gana Gueye in a year's time.
But you dress that up, right? Because you said it again on the live about £5 million, didn't you? When you're going round the table, not round the tower, right? Doing that sort of stuff, and we were deciding logically between Keane and Holgate.
Yeah.
Keeping Holgate instead of Keane might save you £1 million a year, and you go and spend it on that guy.
Yeah.
That's how you have to juggle
absolutely,
it,
and that's exactly it. Yeah.
So I think that's what I would personally do. I'd go.
Or it's $1 million to get someone else over the line.
Yeah.
Of course, and I look at Garner and go, we could do another year easily. Thought he was quite good for Everton last season. I know some people had a different view, but
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
No.
And his numbers massively back how good up he was anyway.
He was more than fine.
He is loose with the ball, we know that, but competitive wise. But if you've then got someone else who's competitive, who's sat on the bench, and you're trying to integrate him so that in the year he becomes the sub and he's.
But also, so you can drop him in and out as well and rest them.
And then strike where it be obviously on. We know we need strikers. You know, and Everton are linked with free transfers, and you've got Malungan in Qatar who's just got 40 goals, who's 29 free transfer, and everyone's going, what? It's like, well, he might be a third choice of free. And there's Moussa Dembele, who's free from Leon. No, he's
got more.
He's younger though. Or maybe he's not.
No, he's not now.
Not now.
But someone like Alunga, who is that and is unproven, and at that age, and people like, wow, he's like 6'3". He's all right for a number 3 because I think Everton might have to just piece this like this. You know, we're looking and going, well,
not might, they will.
Dembele, I'd love to have. Right? Our centre forwards posting videos in Germany is in that neuro place. Short is brilliant. I want that. I want you to get over this nonsense that's going on.
We don't want that if we want to sign
for 2 years, right? We want it anyway, don't we? And therefore, if you can then bring 2 strikers in, and I'm just using these 2 names because they've been linked with Everton heavily. They're both free transfers. Dembele, Everton wanted to get in January and couldn't get him. But they may well be able to get him now. You got those 2 in on frees. See, Maupay for me will be. I think Maupay will leave.
He's talking about going
to be going to Salazar.
What I love was he said he's thrived at Goodison Park. He said the other day he's really improved. Okay,
that's selling himself.
But he is. So
he's
therefore,
done his warm up much better.
Yeah, it is. But he may move on. For the future. And then this is one, and this might split people who are watching, and it is what do you do with Ellis Sims? Because I know that
Sell. He's 22. He's not good
Sell
enough.
him.
He's not good enough, is he? He's not good enough.
I don't know. Listen, goal scorers, you're always reluctant to let go. The one thing he can do, right, is he can finish out.
No, but let's just.
He's not going to score from the bench, though, is he?
Let's just have it right.
Get a goal.
He's not good enough.
And at the moment, he's not a Premier League star.
He's not good enough in as much as Sean Dyche and Lampard were absolutely crying out for a centre forward, and he still wouldn't play him. So he has.
And they see them every day.
And he's 22. If he was 19, I would say keep him, loan him out again for another. He needs to go. Tom Cannon needs to be that next one now. After that, they're the ones that we drag on too long.
So if Everton, because obviously Blackburn are interested in Ellison, Coventry are interested, Sunderland are interested in Ellison.
10-15 in that league. Really?
I suppose he would because he had 7, didn't he, at Sunderland? So therefore, you might get 3, 4, 5 million. I don't know. but you might get a few million for him. Then Everton have done the
kickers,
job,
yeah.
haven't they? Everton have done the job. They've got a young kid, took him from City when he was released at 16, developed him, sold him, and that's what we want to see. Put a buy back in or put a sell-on clause in,
absolutely,
and you look after it, and then you're right then. And then what happens is if you can take Maupay and Sims away, and it becomes, again, just for the purpose of the video, Dembele and Alunga and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. What you've got straight off the bat is you've got 3 centre forwards. They're all over 6 foot, and they've all got a history of putting the ball in the back of the net.
And you've signed 2 for free, who are now assets. Though.
Now Alunga has a season, and he gets 5 goals, 6 goals. Right, but you look and you go, you know, a bit like Moyes did with Beckford.
Yeah.
You get him in, and you have a season, he does all right, and you go, you know what? He's available next summer, 30 years of age, he's available for 3 million, 4 million. You move him on, Tom Cannon comes in as number 3. I think that's how Everton have to shape this squad, which is what we were chatting about. And then that would then leave me with, I personally, it would be a right winger for me, then that would be the other area that I think we need.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that would hit the nail on the head. I think you would have an attacking, or attackers then where you've got, like you say, similar profiles around them, proven goals. Obviously, one's
obviously a huge. Taking a longer at 29, just because he scored 90 goals in 3 seasons in Qatar is a massive risk. Of course it is, but if he's free and he's used to putting the ball in the net, he's got 1 and 2 for Kenya at international level.
Yeah.
These aren't great things. These aren't something that people who are watching are going to be all excited about and running around, getting a longer on the back of the. I'm just saying that a player who's experienced, who scored goals, who you might be able to get free, wages won't be huge. Might be the way Everton have to do it, but a right winger, I think, as well. We've got who's got a history of scoring goals.
So have you been keeping a tally while you've been talking? How many players is that you're proposing to bring in from outside?
For me personally, would be left back, a centre mid, 2 strikers and a winger, 5.
Yeah.
That's not a lot, and especially if 3 of them are free.
So I'm facilitating.
Yeah, no, I'm saying if 3 of them
it's not the 9, 10, 11 other people think.
No.
So what would you say there, 5 or 6? So
I think Everton will bring half a dozen players in this summer.
Yeah, I do.
In different guys. You see, the right winger might end up being
we need a centre back.
Diallo from Man United on loan.
Yeah.
I think it will be about 8, because you also need a number 2 goalkeeper.
Oh, if it's a goal. Well, unless he uses Virginia. Don't forget, it's budget, isn't it?
Yeah,
what I'm saying is, like, and again, Diallo isn't perfect before people say he's crap, he's this, whatever, or Alanga. Everton might end up with one of those, mightn't they? Or
realistically,
a couple of other United
we haven't even thought about that, have we? We've got your 4 loan spaces, which would be criminal to not utilise them again like we didn't last season.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely criminal. So there's 4, you would expect 4 players to come in straight away. You know, that could be the left back, could be the loan. Happy days, and let's give Michaelenko that time to develop.
And that's your sell to your youth.
Don't get Ian Matson.
We're not getting a perm because we expect you.
Don't get Ian Matson from Chelsea, who's just been at Burnley. Get him.
Yeah.
On loan, left back, attacking left back.
Stuff like that, and a centre back could be on loan. A Cody-esque again, but not necessarily Cody.
Don't get Colwell.
I know, yeah. Brighton would be happy, wouldn't it? But yeah, realistically, those loans have got to be utilised. One of the strikers might be a loan. Someone that you
That's
think,
how it plays out,
absolutely fine. But like you say, right winger, we are crying out for it.
We're crying out for goals, aren't we, John? Before we finish,
and consistency.
That's the reality is we didn't concede huge amount. I went through before.
The number we conceded is okay.
Was all right, but the number we scored was shocking, wasn't it?
We need 10 or 15 more goals.
Easily.
If you get a striker,
score 10 to 15, you'll finish mid-table.
If you're getting a striker in who gets you 8 to 10, a right winger that gets you 5 or 6.
Dwight comes through like you said he will, does it again. Before you know it, you're
going, he gets 5, it gets 6 again.
That's okay.
James Garner.
Corey got 5 from half a season, don't forget.
If James Garner was playing all season, I think he'd lump in with 5 or 6.
You need weight in that team, he'll score a few.
Yeah, no.
Tell you what, this is almost sounding positive.
Europa League, here we come.
Conference League.
Joke. Conference. Yeah, we want the conference, yeah.
You beat Mike, come on.
I know, get carried away.
We want win the conference, get you in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Win the Europa League, get you in the Champions League. Win it, job done.
Win it, and
completed
then
it.
Win it, and then just retire as a club. Just forget it.
Sean goes, my work here is done. I'm off to be the new Real Madrid manager.
Job done, innit?
Sean Allardyce there. We'll see. We will see. Obviously, we're just having a little bit of fun with it, but it is talking about how Everton can shape it. So I'll do Everton without pockets of money, shape the squad, really, with what they've got and all of those, obviously, the retain list and everything. Big thanks to John, big thanks to Mike. Give the video a thumbs up. Put that in the comments, how you think Everton could realistically shape. Don't just be negative and go, they're crap, it doesn't matter. And if you're a fan of another team, you know, enjoy your life, don't worry about it. We just having a chat about Everton. Yeah. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to become a Toffee TV Premium member, the link is in the description and the QR code will be on the screen. I'll see you later.